Welcome back to another video. This is a special one. This is my mid-season or summer break driver rankings, my averages and my points with the other series that I have. We're going to look through the drivers 21st to 1st because there was that many drivers, and let's see how they rank up. I will compare them with averages and with points. I think my averages will be on this side, points on this side, and we'll see what is a better comparison using the averages scores they get or point systems, which I think point systems you'd only see the good drives they have, not the bad ones. So if you have like 5 consistent good ones and like 2 really bad ones, you would be better than you would in averages because the average is the whole performance, not just the good ones. So let's get into it. 21 drivers. This is just my opinion. The way I do it, I'm not going to describe it, but yeah, this is how this got up. Then drivers score points in the point system for each weekend. Let's get into it with our last place. It's going to be on average and points. Jack Doohan. On the points, it's pretty easy for him to be last because he had the least amount of drives, but he didn't score any points at that point, and average is not very good. So not much to talk about. I think he should have stayed in F1. I think he could have been second or third to last, if that would have been, but he didn't, and he is last. 20th for standings and averages is going to be Colapinto. His replacement, the worst driver on the current grid. Point system, like I said with Doohan, it would be the easiest point to be last because he has the least amount of races. But the averages still, he didn't have his ups that he had with Williams. Pretty mediocre so far, and I don't know if there's opportunity for him to be replaced by Bottas during the summer break. I hope not. He could finish strong this season, but I just hope they finish with him, and maybe next year Bottas can take the seat if he doesn't do good enough. 19th on my averages is going to be Liam Lawson, and in my point score it's going to be Yuki Tsunoda. Both of them, Verstappen's teammate, one previous, one current. It's quite funny to see they're both here. Lawson on averages being lower than Yuki Tsunoda, I get it because he had some very bad races in the beginning of the year. I think Yuki has been doing a better job at Red Bull. That's probably why he's higher. But in the points, Yuki only scored decent points the first 2 races, the first 2 races. And since he joined Red Bull, he hasn't scored any points in the point system. So that's why he's so low. He had some decent drives, but not any top 10 drives yet since he joined Red Bull. Liam Lawson, he has been scoring some good points. He has some very good few races, the last few races. Then you'll see where he ends up at the standings. Do I think both of them deserve the 19th spot? I think so. Maybe it's both of them are equally as good. 18, it's going to be averages Yuki Tsunoda and standings Carlos Sainz. Now I think this is quite low for Sainz because he did have some really decent performances, not like massively good. That's why he's so low in the standings. But on average, I think he has been that good. He'll see where he goes. He's a bit better. But yeah, this is a bit low for Carlos Sainz. He has had his struggles with the Williams car. Alex Albon has been amazing. I think that is not helping his case, but he's been doing not too bad. I think this is a bit low for his standings, but you'll see. I think his averages is a bit better. And Yuki Tsunoda, of course. I think this and 19 is close. I think over the whole year, I think he has been better than Lawson. Lawson's only now just stepping up. I think Yuki had Hadjar beat in the. If he stayed there, I think Yuki would have had one of his best, probably his best season. But now because he's at Red Bull, he is struggling. Okay, 17th in both the averages and standings is going to be Lance Stroll. Now, Lance Stroll had a very good start of the year. In my standings, he was quite high, but he has dropped significantly. Um, he had some good performances, some bad. He's very in and out, very inconsistent. I think he has had one of his better seasons. Some good drives. I think of Silverstone, the first 3 rounds or 4 rounds, he had some good ones. outperforming Alonso. I don't know if Alonso is still behind him. And the last race he did very good. So he has scored some good points, but still 17th I think is a good place for him to be. He hasn't been one of the best drivers, but he hasn't been the worst driver. That's all I could say. 16th is going to be averages Bortoleto, standings Lawson. Now Bortoleto, I did find it hard to believe that he is this low in averages, but then I remember he did have a very, very bad start and shaky start for the season. Like I said, the standings only show you the good drives, you don't get affected by the bad drives. And the start of the season, I think he was the lowest scoring driver until recent, which he had some amazing performances. I think it was twice in my top 3 drivers. That's why I scored some massive points. And Lawson here, like I said, at the last few races, he has been scoring some decent points. And yeah, I think Lawson, this is a good place for him to be, quite a bit high in my opinion. And for a rookie Bortoleto, this is quite good for him. 16th isn't very bad. You'll see where he finished in the standings, which probably be a more like closed eye view for the rookies. Okay, 15th is going to be averages Sainz, standings Ocon. Averages for Sainz 15th, I think that's good. Much better than standings, but he has had a shaky start. Like I said, this is a better place for him to be. His first few races is probably where he got his least amount of his worst averages, which is not helping. But like I said, he can get it. I think he can do a very good job in the later stages of the season. The car is starting to drop off now, so it's harder to see that good performances. And let's talk about Esteban Ocon. I think this is a very low for his standings. For him to be standings, like I said, he has been very average, well, not average, consistently not close to like best performance week in and week out, but his consistency is why you'll see how high he is on the averages. I think this is a bit low for Ocon. Yeah, he has been quite good. I think he and his teammate has been very good. Okay. 14th is going to be averages Antonelli, standings Hamilton. Now the average for Antonelli, I think if I did this halfway through, so that would be after the Silverstone Grand Prix, I think he would have been a bit higher with averages, but because he's had a decent run of bad form, that's why I think he's lower than Hamilton on the averages. But Hamilton here on standings, I think this is a good place. He has had some good races, but not a lot of them. Hamilton has struggled to get used to the Ferrari, like I think Antonelli is getting used to the Mercedes. But Antonelli is a rookie. Hamilton is probably the best driver statistically, and he's being beaten quite hard by Leclerc. All new drivers are struggling at the new teams. So does Sainz. Hulkenberg, I think, is the only exception, but he did have a shaky start of the season. But Hamilton being 14th, like I said, yes, 14th in standings, I think it's decent. It's close to where I think I'll put him. Antonelli, for a rookie, he's not doing too bad. He was really getting close to rookie of the season for me, but that has fallen off dramatically. 13th averages is going to be Hamilton, and standings is going to be Oliver Bearman. Now, like I said just now, Hamilton has struggled. I think 13th is probably better than 14th for Hamilton because he had some good pace sometimes. Silverstone is where I can think of. And like I said, standings for Bearman, I think he has been one of the best rookies in my opinion. It's between him and someone else we'll see later. But standings, yeah, like I said, his top 10 performances, there has been some. Lately, it's been a few. I think him and Antonelli are tied with points in my standings, so that just shows you how good they're doing. But yeah, decent showing for Bearman as a rookie. I think, yeah, being ahead of Ocon is fair. I think he has been more highs than Ocon. I think he's been consistently quicker in qualifying and consistent in the race. Okay. 12 is in averages is going to be Hadjar, and in standings Antonelli. I think this is a bit low for Hadjar for averages, but he has had some meh races, if I can say. He had some very good highs in the beginning of the year, and like first quarter of it, he had some massively amazing highs, and I think you'll see why he is so high in the standings. And Antonelli here, like I said when I talked about him, he had some good performances. So I think Antonelli, this is probably where I would put him, but this is a bit low for Hadjar. Cool. 11th is going to be averages, Ocon, and standings Bortoleto. I think this is a better placement for Esteban Ocon. I think he's close to the top 10 drivers, but just missing out because I think Behrman has showed him up a few times this season, which I didn't expect to happen. I thought Ocon would be so good in the Haas. It's hard to remember sometimes that it's his first season there. But yeah, I can't put him ahead of Behrman. I think Behrman has just shown more consistent performances, and Ocon is supposed to be the more mature driver there. He's been doing very good, no crashing with his teammates, so that's nice. Except for Silverstone, I think that's more Behrman. But yeah, Bortoleto, like I said, he has scored some massive points lately, and I'll think he's very close to the rookie of the season for me. If he continues like this, he'll definitely be the rookie of the season. But I think you'll see there's two drivers that I think at this point are better consistently. And yeah, Bortoleto had not a good start, but he didn't have a good car, so it'd be hard to see how good he was doing. He didn't crash a lot, so that's good except for the first race. But otherwise, yeah. Now we're going into the top 10, and in both the average and standings, it's going to be Nico Hulkenberg. But before you kill me, I know he got his first podium. I was so happy for him, but his qualifying performances and the start of the season, the first 5 races wasn't that good. Go back, you'll see Bortoleto out-qualifying him a few times, and he had some poor races. Just go check it for yourself. Recency bias can be a thing. His last race wasn't that good as well, and the one before that also not that good. I think Bortoleto has shown him up in those two. So Hulkenberg being P10 is still very good for the start he had. If he continues, he'll probably be top 7, and I can't wait to see him in the Audi car next year. P9 in averages is going to be the best rookie, and in standings is going to be the best rookie. Behrman, averages, Hadjar, standings. So this is the 2 best rookies in each category, which I think is fair. I think I'll put Hadjar above Behrman. So I think the standings one for Hadjar is better representation, and Behrman didn't do too bad. I think he had some very good performances sometimes, but I do think Hadjar is the best rookie thus far. He destroyed Lawson, not destroyed, but he did a good job against Lawson. He has been consistently the best Red Bull driver behind Max, and once he did beat Max. So that's why, like, recent performance is not that good. Very mediocre, but I still think 9th is a good place for him. Best rookie of the season so far. I think he deserves that, with Behrman just close behind. I think if it continues like it does now, Bortoleto might be my rookie of the year, with Hadjar 2nd. Antonelli is dropping off, but if he can fix his mental capability, I think he would do a good job. Maybe even close the gap. 8th place in both averages and standing is Pierre Gasly. Underrated as hell this year. The only point scorer in his team, consistently in the top 10 qualifying, and sometimes just appears in the points in the race. He had a very good Silverstone, which I can think about, and Bahrain. His qualifying was amazing. Performance is very good, but his last race did stink a bit. I think if he had a good last race, he might have been a bit higher. But yeah, Gasly's been very good. I just hope he gets a teammate that can help him score some points, because he is in the car that's bottom table. I just love him to get a better car, because he's my favorite driver at this moment. So yeah. P7 in averages is going to be Norris. In standings it's going to be Albon. I think Albon definitely needs to be higher, a bit higher. Norris, I think this is a good spot for him to be, because he had some shaky races. Canada definitely comes into mind, making some mistakes, a big one there, and throughout the season just making some mistakes here and there. close to Piastri in the title fight, more because of his consistency when he's not making mistakes. But yeah, I think if he didn't make that mistake in Canada, he might have been in the lead now. Might. Don't know how that would have ended. But I think if it continues like this, he built momentum. Last year, he ended the year very strong. He might be a top 5 driver and win the championship. We'll see. But that depends on how Piastri reacts, because Piastri didn't have a good end of season last year. But he's having a very good first half. A very, very good. We'll come to him later. And Albon, like I said when I talked about Sainz, he has been very good. He's been one of the big surprises. The first 10 races was so good. I think he was in my top 5. I think he was fighting for P3, P2 at some point. He was P2 in the standings. He's been very, not average, but consistently okay, between okay and good. No bad races. That's why his averages is so much better. But his standings, sometimes it's not fair like the actual F1. The point system just works that way. 6th place in averages is Alonso, and 6th place in standings is Norris. Alonso, I think this is the right space for him to be. Didn't have a very good start of the season. You'll see how high he is in standings. I'm not sure how that happened, but yeah. Norris, I think 6, 7 is good. I think 7th is the place he should be, behind all these people. But Alonso, he's been amazing those last few races, Hungary especially. And then, I can just think about his qualifying performances and some of his race pace. It's just been amazing. His first few races, that's why he isn't higher than this, top 5 maybe. But I think 6th for Alonso is a good spot. And Norris again, 6 standings, that's fine. 5th place, let's talk about averages, Albon, standings, Leclerc. Now I think this is a good place for Albon to be. He has been very good, consistent. I think he's done a very good job outperforming Sainz. Everybody thought Sainz would destroy him, but he has actually been destroying Sainz. I think maybe next year or maybe the second half of the season, Sainz could close the gap. And yeah, it will be a very interesting season to see. But P5 for Leclerc in the standings, I think it's a bit low. He has been very good. Some shaky races, I'll say, but not bad races. Very good races. I think of Hungary, that pole position, amazing. I don't know where he got that from. His performances in Spa was very good. But some stinkers like Silverstone. And I can't remember much, but he hasn't had the best car. So yeah, that's why I think Leclerc P5 is a bit low. Probably put him a few steps higher. But let's go to 4th place. In averages and standings, it's going to be Oscar Piastri. Championship leader, has been a very good season so far. I think in some races he has made mistakes. Both the McLaren drivers have. Qualifying hasn't been the best. And races, some mistakes have been made. But I think Oscar Piastri has been very consistent, close to almost every race in the top 5, even not in the top 10. If he's behind his teammate, he's always close. And most of the time, if he's ahead of Norris, he wins the race. It's hard to say how good they are driving with dominant car, which if it is a dominant car, maybe. But some performances just, I think the drivers ahead of him in the averages, not the standings, the averages, has had a better year so far, and I think would have done a much better job in the McLaren if they were there. Okay, now our top 3 places. Our bronze medal, 3rd place on the podium, averages Leclerc, standings Alonso. This is a bit high for Alonso, I think, but like I said, he has had some very highs, but also a lot of lows, and not a lot of average races. He's either very good or not as good, which is why he's so high in the standings, because you get a lot of points if you're on the top, but you don't get minus points if you're 20th a few times, because he had some stinkers in the beginning of the year, like I said, and Stroll has been outperforming him relative to normal beginning of the year quite a lot, but since he has had a grip on the car, he's been amazing. And with, like I said, with Leclerc, I think this is a better place for him. Very close to 2nd in my opinion, but 3rd is okay with me. because like I said, he has had some good races, some good pace, and I think he's been constantly just behind the two drivers ahead of him. And I think if he had another car, maybe he could have challenged for more, because Ferrari is Ferrari, And he's been consistently better than Hamilton, which most people thought Hamilton would be more close, but he isn't. Okay, silver medal in averages and standing is going to be George Russell. I think this has been George Russell's best year so far. Very good, very consistent, just behind number one. Standings as well, the closest person to number one. So good. Canada was amazing. His performance is good, being the best driver out of the McLarens most of the time, and the number one driver, which we'll know who it is. But I saw a post where if the two McLaren drivers weren't there, Russell would be leading the championship, which is surprising because he's standing in fourth at the moment, but he would have had more wins. And yeah, I think Russell has been amazing. I really hope he keeps his seat at Mercedes. It'd be so cool if Max goes there. But if he leaves, I don't know where he will go. But he's been doing such an amazing job, carrying the team a little bit, if you ask me. But yeah, amazing job from George Russell. And of course, number one, our winner of the averages and standings is going to be Max Verstappen. Even if he doesn't have the dominant car, he's still amazing. Like Japan, it comes to mind. Imola, amazing. That move he made, just amazing. His qualifying performance in what race was it? And it was in Silverstone. Just like grabbed the ball out of nowhere. This guy is still amazing. I think the last few races he's been dropping off just a bit. But I think the one fall which made it closer than it needs to be is Spain, where he crashed into George Russell. Now that one closed the gap a lot in the averages and the standings, but I still think he deserves to be number one in the car he is, and maybe he'll be dethroned for the first time in a long time in the standings because he's been first for so many times to the end of the year. Thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it, and please leave a like, subscribe. I do all the race reviews and give you some points like you can see here. Let me know who you'd like to change and who you think is too high or too low. Which one do you think is a better representation of how the drivers are performing, the averages or the standings? Thank you for watching. Goodbye.